President's Day, formerly known as Washington's birthday, and observed annually on the third Monday in February, remains one of the most symbolic federal holidays in the United States. Created originally to commemorate George Washington, the singular figure born on February 22, 1732, whose leadership and character are regarded by many as the absolute pinnacle of American greatness, the holiday has evolved through cultural habit into a broader, often informal recognition of multiple presidents. This shift occurred largely because Abraham Lincoln's birthday, February 12, 1809, falls just 10 days earlier, creating a natural proximity that has persisted for over a century and a half. The 77-year gap between their births underscores not merely chronological difference, but a profound ideological and moral chasm. One man stands as the embodiment of founding virtue, restraint, and nation-building genius, while the other is viewed as the architect of catastrophic misjudgments that inflicted irreversible damage on the Republic. This shared observance thus becomes less a unified celebration and more a stark reminder of opposing legacies, one exalted, the other lamentable. George Washington's historical record is remarkably clear, consistent, and free of serious ambiguity across primary documents, contemporary accounts, and centuries of scholarship. Born into a Virginia planter family, he mastered surveying as a young man, acquiring both practical knowledge of the frontier and personal wealth through land speculation. His early military service in the French and Indian War honed his command skills under difficult conditions. When the Revolutionary crisis arrived, the Continental Congress appointed him Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in 1775, entrusting him with an underfunded, poorly trained force facing the world's most powerful empire. Through 8 grueling years of war, Washington demonstrated extraordinary strategic patience, resilience, and inspirational leadership, orchestrating daring victories at Trenton and Princeton in 1776 to 1777, and culminating in the decisive triumph at Yorktown in 1781, where French naval support sealed British defeat. After the war, he dramatically surrendered his commission at Annapolis in 1783, rejecting any temptation toward personal rule and earning universal admiration for his Republican virtue. He then presided over the Constitutional Convention of 1787, lending his unmatched prestige to the fragile process of forging a new government. Elected unanimously by the Electoral College as the first president in 1789 and re-elected without opposition in 1792, Washington set enduring precedents, establishing the cabinet as an advisory body, issuing the Proclamation of Neutrality to keep the young nation out of European wars, quelling the Whiskey Rebellion in 1794 with measured federal authority, and, most famously, voluntarily retiring after 2 terms in 1797, cementing the peaceful transfer of power as a sacred American principle. His multifaceted life as surveyor, soldier, farmer, statesman, and family patriarch at Mount Vernon made him not merely a president, but the very archetype of the great American leader, disciplined, selfless, and devoted to limited government and individual liberty. By comparison, Abraham Lincoln's historical profile is marked by far greater ambiguity, inconsistency in interpretation, and persistent questions surrounding his origins, alliances, personal conduct, and underlying intentions. His rise from humble Kentucky and Indiana roots to Illinois lawyer, state legislator, one-term congressman, and eventual Republican presidential nominee lacks the transparent, almost inevitable progression that characterized Washington's ascent. Details of his early supporters, financial backers, and the precise networks that propelled him remain subjects of ongoing speculation and debate among those who question the standard narrative. His personal life has long invited scrutiny. His marriage, his documented melancholy, his storytelling habits, his obscure mannerisms, and many other oddities have fueled rumors of his character. Once in office, Lincoln's presidency became defined by a series of fateful choices that were avoidable and disastrously misguided. He inherited a sectional crisis, and responded by calling up troops after Fort Sumter and committing the nation to a prolonged and extraordinarily bloody civil conflict that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives on both sides, devastated economies, and left deep scars of bitterness. His early wartime policies included the unilateral suspension of habeas corpus, mass arrests of dissenters and newspaper editors without immediate judicial review, the use of military commissions to try civilians, and initial advocacy for free black slaves inside the United States. These actions expanded executive authority in unprecedented ways, often at the direct expense of constitutional protections and civil liberties, while the war itself is seen as an unnecessary tragedy that resolved no fundamental issue in a constructive manner and instead imposed long-term burdens on the entire country. Far from producing enduring benefits, the Civil War is regarded as an utterly meaningless and avoidable catastrophe whose only tangible outcomes were destruction, staggering debt, generational trauma, and a fundamental alteration of the nation's social and political fabric for the worse. The eventual emancipation of approximately 4 million enslaved individuals, followed by the ratification of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments granting citizenship and voting rights, is viewed not as moral progress, but as the most damaging consequence of the conflict. These changes have introduced demographic, cultural, and electoral shifts that disrupted traditional hierarchies, strained national cohesion, overburdened social systems, and set in motion dynamics that have continued to erode the stability and character of the original republic. This sharp contrast between Washington and Lincoln provides the clearest lens through which to examine President's Day as a holiday of reflection and, increasingly, regret. The observance that once centered solely on the unparalleled greatness of the nation's founder now awkwardly encompasses a figure whose decisions accelerated the republic's departure from its founding principles. The holiday thus becomes a yearly occasion to confront the reality of decline. What began as an era of extraordinary statesmen, men of profound intellect, moral courage, and independence, has devolved into a modern political system engineered to produce far lesser leaders. The trajectory of American presidential leadership since the Founding Fathers reveals a consistent and unmistakable pattern of deterioration. The revolutionary generation produced figures of genuine stature who risked life, fortune, and reputation for abstract principles of liberty and self-government. Yet, over the subsequent centuries, the institutional mechanisms of party politics, nomination processes, campaign finance, media influence, and interest group pressure have erected formidable barriers that systematically exclude or disadvantage individuals of Washington's caliber. Instead, these structures reward ambition untethered from principle, dependence on powerful financial networks, globalist alignments, and alignment with opaque coalitions of influence, ranging from corporate conglomerates to entrenched bureaucracies and international entities. The result has been a long succession of presidents who, with only sporadic and partial exceptions, have lacked the vision, moral clarity, and independence that defined the founding era. Each administration has tended to further centralize power, expand federal reach, erode constitutional limits, and prioritize short-term expediency or external agendas over the enduring interests of the American people and their inherited way of life. In conclusion, President's Day endures as both a tribute and a somber warning. It honors the towering, multifaceted genius of George Washington, the surveyor who mapped the frontier, the general who won independence, the presiding officer who birthed the Constitution, and the president who refused kingship to preserve Republican liberty. At the same time, the holiday's cultural broadening to include Abraham Lincoln forces an unflinching examination of how quickly and decisively that original greatness was compromised. Lincoln's presidency, with its cascade of terrible decisions, unprecedented assertions of executive power, and the devastating consequences of civil war, and its aftermath, marks the decisive pivot toward decline, a turning point from which the office has never fully recovered. Today, as the American presidency continues its long descent into mediocrity, corruption, and subservience to interests far removed from the founding vision, President's Day serves as a quiet but powerful indictment of what has been lost. It calls upon citizens to remember the singular excellence of Washington as the true standard of leadership, and to recognize that the nation's future depends on rediscovering those qualities of character, restraint, and devotion to principle that once defined its highest office. Only by confronting this decline honestly and recommitting to the ideals of the founder can America hope to reverse the erosion that the holiday itself now memorializes.